of being a speaker in this wonderful initiative of organizing a program, awareness program on the sustainable development goals which are being given by UNO. And I'll be speaking on uh, design thinking, a way towards a paradigm shift in the sustainability. I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll be talking about design thinking, a new paradigm for sustainable development. So whenever we talk of sustainable development, you have had extensive lectures on this. So that means we are talking about an environment where we leave something for our future generations to enjoy all the resources. And when we talk of design thinking, what comes to our mind initially is something to do with a good design, good cover. But gone are the days when design thinking was associated with giving something an attractive look or more lucrative look for the users. Design thinking is a user centric method. And before we dive into what is design thinking, I'll just hurriedly tell you how am I trying to deliver the session. I'll be talking about the concept, the definition, what are the key components, and I'll be discussing few of the case studies, and then we can have an interactive session. Starting with what are the common problems in today's world? We all are facing number of problems, independent of where we are staying, but problems of pollution, problems of traffic, problems of no proper education, problem of people still defecating in open, despite it's the 21st century, child labor. A virus could change the entire world. We have seen 2 years back. Still, we have exploitation of a particular of ladies. That means gender sensitizing is still not there. So we are tackling and facing all these problems, and we have to find a sustainable solution, a solution which is required by all. So design thinking is the approach, and we can have a look at what exactly design thinking does. Let's imagine or let's see how our cities were managing the transport way back in 2000. It was a big problem. We found all the metropolitan cities having heavy traffic. There was a traffic congestion. There was a lot of pollution, and the normal modes of transportation being used was buses, taxis, private buses, etc. So one of the solution which design thinking did was giving birth to metros and another service by Uber and Ola. And now we see, if we talk of metros or Ubers or Olas, we see they are more economical, faster. As we talk of sustainability, they give you lesser of pollution. Even in Uber, Ola, when we go in for sharing, the we are saving our resources. That means we are able to do the resource management. So the basic concept of design thinking is, rather than coming out with a solution which we think is the best, we first want to identify the problems. So design thinking gives lot of emphasis on identifying what is the problem, how big is the problem, what is the main challenge, how people are facing it, by observing what people are going through. So rather than giving emphasis more on the product or the process or a service, we want to define it in terms of the user. So it's a user centric approach, and it is based on ethnographic observation, which means until and unless I don't know, I'm not with the group of people for whom I want to find a solution, I won't be able to give the best solution. The design thinking has to be not only analytical, but it gives you intuitive results, a non-linear, and we keep on changing our methods and we keep on improving our products and processes by iterations. And design thinking basically depends upon experimenting fast, and it gives you an integrative and holistic view on complex problems. So, as as its formal definition goes, it's a human-centered approach to innovation, which draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for a business success. So the main four W's of design thinking are: what is the problem we are all facing? What is the problem for which I want to find a solution? So the main thing is to identify the right type of a problem. For me, I find a particular problem is there and I come out with a solution. But when I go to the user, they do not feel that they require such a solution, or for them that problem was big enough. So the main focus is on defining the problem. Even Einstein says if I am given 60 minutes to solve a problem, I'll spend probably 55 minutes in understanding the problem. So the first part is from a user's point of view, or let's say now we're talking of sustainability, from the environment, from the society point of view, what is the problem we are facing for which we have to find a solution? So that's the first step. Then the second is what if. That means we come up with large number of ideas. What if we do this, uh, we can give a sustainable solution, or we can give a user centric solution. So what if talks, you can see it is a bigger area. So it's talking of large number of solutions, and we try all these things. That means it is including number of ideas to reach to a solution of the problem. But obviously one of them or two of them would work the best. So the third is what wows. So here the quantity of ideas is more important, and here which is the best suitable idea, the quality that works is the wows. And finally we make a prototype, or we make a building model, and we test it on the users, we get the feedback, and we come to a final decision of what works. And we keep on going back and forth. As I said, design thinking is an iterative process and depends practical on practical implementations and on experimentation. So this is where just we try to find out how design thinking is different from conventional thinking, where a problem would have only one solution in a normal conventional thinking. But design thinking, you could define things in a different manner from the perspective of the user, and depending upon the different users, their geographic locations, their thought process, their cultures, you come out with solutions which are best suited for them and thus would remain sustainable. So the as I said, uh, the base of design thinking is your observation. And when you're observing around yourself, the most important facet one has to have is empathy. So when you have an empathy and you observe around yourself, you find what are the challenges or what are the problems being faced by the people around you, and accordingly you come to these factors which are to be taken care while you are solving a problem. Probably So three factors which have to be taken care is: the most important factor is desirability. Often when a new product or a new process or a new system comes into a market, people just make it because they found it, they are the experts in that and they can come out with this, and they don't bother to see whether there's a need of that product or that process in market or not, whether it is actually required or not. So the most important factor is desirability. Whatever you are trying to reach to a solution for, whether it is desirable or not, then whatever ideas you are trying to use to give a solution according to the desirability, are they technologically possible or not? Is modern day technology going to give you that idea being implemented actually? So we talk about feasibility. And then finally about the future, whether the whatever the product or the process we are talking of, is it viable in terms of future, whether it's sustainable or not. So and we always look for the sweet spot where all these three things are taken care of, which is not possible in most of the cases, but this is what we want to do. So this is basically your design thinking. And now when we talk of sustainability through design thinking, we have two models coming into picture. One talks about overlapping circles model, where there's an overlapping of obviously these three, which is desirability, feasibility, and viability. And over and above, we also talk about what is best for the society and what is best for the planet. That means in terms of the responsibility and sustainability. So this is one of the models. Whereas the other model says that when we are talking of desirability, viability, and feasibility, they are part of the society, and society itself is a part of a planet. So we have a concentric circle model where we say design thinking would lead to sustainability, because design thinking is giving you products or giving you processes or giving solutions to the pain points of the user according to their requirement, with the lens of empathy, with the lens of user being user centric. So as the formal process goes, according to Stanford, we also call it as observe, and observation comes with an eye of empathy. So the first step is to observe around you to find out, or to remain with the group of people for whom you are trying to find a solution to. Let's say you are trying to find a solution related to agriculture, and the farmers are in the are in different region, and you are sitting in a metropolitan city, and you bring a solution to them being in your AC room, whereas you don't even know how the weather conditions are for the farmers. So when you talk of design thinking, empathy means you are going there, you are actually being there, being part of them, and trying to find out what problems they are facing, and then defining the problem according to the lens of empathy. You define the problem. Once you have defined the appropriate problem, then towards you go towards solution. For the solutions, you ideate, and a team ideates. And the first point is being divergent. You focus only on number of ideas. You want as many ideas to come in the pool as possible. You don't check whether the ideas are weird or whether they are workable or not. Initially, you want the team members to sit together and just write out the ideas which they think can reach to a solution for that particular problem. And then you have a brainstorming session, from where, from a group of ideas, you see which idea is the best or which is feasible. So from a divergent, you go to a convergent solution. Depending upon that, you make a prototype or you make a model which will tell how your solution is going to work. You take it to the user or the consumer, where you get it tested, you get a feedback. Depending upon what feedback you get, you keep on changing. You may have to go back to the defining point, or you may have to go back even to the empathizing point. Maybe you didn't even define the problem correctly. So that all depends upon your experimentation and getting the right feedback from your users or the consumers. So as this can show, this is an iterative and a non-linear process, and you would have to go back to any point, and many iterations may be required to get to the best possible solution which can be seen by the user. So as I said, when you go to the ideation process, it has to be a random throw. What is more important to begin with is number of ideas which people give or which your team gives to solve that problem, and then through a proper brainstorming session, and to see the viability and the feasibility of a particular solution, you find out the best possible or the what wows factor. Coming to the use cases. Now, Brazilian mechanic, he by the name of Moser, he invented this plastic bottle bulbs, which revolutionized in the underdeveloped countries like Philippines, countries like Indonesia, where in the rural areas there was no electricity, there was lack of electricity, and there was no means to give them power. So what he came out with is an idea through a design thinking, where he used a 1 liter plastic bottle full of water, put some bleaching agent so that there is no growth of bacteria or algae, and it's very clear. Cut it into two, cut it, half of this is above the roof, half of this is below the roof, and simply by the laws of refraction, whatever solar energy falls on the clear water, it gets refracted, and the bottle part which is inside the roof, inside the room, it lights, and it's equivalent to a incandescent bulb, which gives you a light of 40 to 60 watts. Now, this is a very environment friendly and a sustainable model, which could, where the installation cost was very less. So that means it was affordable. It catered to the needs of giving electricity. There was so less carbon footprints because you are not using incandescent lamps. You were using solar energy. And another, again by iterations, what they did was the cap of the bottle was made using a solar material, so that even in night it could be used as a bulb. So this is one of the use cases which talks about design thinking and sustainability both going together, and this has been given a commercial model by My Shelter Foundations in Philippines. Now, another use case is, which is very important, is in Ghana. It's a clean team. Again, in the remote areas, in the suburban areas, people used to defecate in open, or there used to be a public toilet, and there used to be long queues. So sanitation was a big problem for them. So the team, design thinking team from IDO, along with the municipal department, they came up with this solution of providing this affordable toilets, and they were installed for free, and on subscription basis. There used to be a cartridge where the waste was collected, and once or twice in a week the team would come and refill the cartridge, and the waste which was dumped was also converted into electricity, in harnessing of electricity, or as fertilizers. So again, this is a very important use case of design thinking, because the entire team stayed with the people in that area. They observed what are the problems being faced by them, that there were long queues, there would be so much of chaos in the queues, there was no cleanliness, a flush system could not be handled in the houses in that areas, there was not sufficient water. So they added a chemical which made the entire thing odor free. So all this came as a result of iterations. So they had different models being installed at different places, then depending upon what was the feedback, they came to this best possible model, which was a portable one, and the team would come and install it for free, and they gave a subscription model where people would come once or twice depending upon how many members are using it, to change the cartridge once or twice in a week, and for that they had a subscription, a very nominal subscription. So this is one of the best examples of design thinking and sustainability. Another very important and interesting examples which is being used right now in our own country is the life saving dots. So a team from a social which is working as an NGO, they found that most of the problems occurred in rural area. They found that there were many deaths of the ladies at the time of the childbirth or after that, and the reason they found was lack of nutrition and lack of iodine. So the first solution they gave was giving them iodine supplements. But normally the ladies who used to work in their farms or who were daily laborers, they would forget to have their supplements. So again, the team being staying with them, they observed that bindi is a very normal culture in Indian tradition. So ladies put a bindi. So in this bindi, they provided an iodine patch. So the amount of iodine which is required by the body on a daily basis was given on this iodine patch in the form of bindi. So they found it as a very successful endeavor, where the number of cases of problems in ladies, normally they had breast cancers and everything because of the lack of iodine, and they found a lot of decrement in the cases by using this sustainable design thinking model of giving them life-saving dots. You can again see another interesting thing, Aram Help Desk, where the kids in the rural areas, in the villages, in the remote villages, where they sit on the ground, and they found that they didn't have a table, so they bent their necks. So there was a problem in their back and their necks. So a person came out with such an innovative idea of using the cartons, the vacant empty cartons, to give them, to make them serve the purpose of a bag, to make them serve a purpose of a table. So it was very friendly, user friendly in terms of people of the rural, kids of the rural village or the rural India, where there was no proper classroom, no proper desks, no proper tables. So using a simple carton, it was made a help desk, which is known as Aram Help Desk. Last but not the least, you have an incubator. All of us know when a child takes birth, if the child has is it takes birth before the like it's premature, or if the weight of the child is very less, the kids are placed in the incubator. Now, what is the main reason of putting, or what is the main principle lying behind the incubator is giving warmth to the body of the child, because when the child is in the womb, it is getting the warmth of the mother's body. But the moment the child comes out of the womb and there is not enough of fats, that means the weight is not sufficient and there are no fats, so it would feel very cold, and that is the reason of high mortality rate in the kids which were seen in the rural area. Now, the number of hospitals or dispensaries which could give them incubator was very less. And even if they had some dispensary which was providing them incubator, that was very far off from their residential places. So, students from Stanford only, they came up with this design thinking, and as a part of their project, they made an embrace incubator, which is a very simple, it's something like a sleeping bag, a blanket, which has a gel heat, something like a heater, which is the thing, gel heated pad, which gives the warmth to the child for 4 to 5 hours, and then you can change it. So this was a very affordable method by which they could handle this situation of high mortality rates in the rural areas, where there was no provision of going to the dispensaries or hospitals which were very far off. So you can appreciate this, all these thinkings, all these various examples are giving you an insight to how, by just defining a proper problem properly and coming to a solution, we can give solutions to the user, where they can lead to a sustainable future, and we are able to give legacy to our future generations. So thank you so much. So at the end, I would only say, be an empathetic observer, a critical thinker, action oriented, and ready to experiment, because design thinking basically is you just have an empathetic observation and you discover what is to be done, and then you deliver accordingly. So I'm open to the questions. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Any questions? Sir, madam.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Madam, I just was listening to your talk on design thinking.
Yes,
One point you made there about the process of ideation.
yes, yes.
How critical is the process of ideation of having a inclusive thought process?
It's very
Like
important. Yes, inclusive thought process is very important. But to begin with, we start with an open-minded. We ask the team, the members of the team, to come out with their thought process. without discussing with anyone. So the first main thing is being divergent. Don't That part is not inclusive in the terms of the team members, but inclusive in terms of the problem you are defining. Once there's a pool of ideas, then comes a convergent method where it is inclusive and where you discuss and you have a brainstorming session and you reach to the most viable solution.
In the process, there is a possibility of camouflaging. We actually do not reach the exact reason why the problem is existing. Under such situations, what do you suggest
No,
so as to discover?
the basic thing is only observation. How design thinking is different from our conventional techniques is we go in by ethnographic observation. So that is the most important point I said. While sitting in the campus of your area, without even realizing what is the problem people are facing at the difficult terrains, and you want to give a solution to them, that would not be best suited until and unless you actually visit them, you actually stay with them, you actually observe them, find out their unarticulated needs, and then accordingly you define a problem. That is why a lot of emphasis is given on defining the problem by discovering what is required by them. So it is discover and then define, and after defining you develop, and developing you take a feedback, and then finally you go to the delivery model.
Thank you, madam.
Anyone else?
Thank you very much, Professor Kaur. I think no one has any doubts now. Hello?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. I think no one has any doubts. Thank you for the impressive talk.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Obviously,
Yeah,
I would have loved had it been a one-to-one, but it's okay. Thanks for the opportunity. And my best wishes to all of you.
our pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.